I kind of wanted to walk you through how things have impacted me personally. A lot of folks are posting their take on the experience of the outpouring. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say, really, it's almost like saying, what's the outpouring's take on me? And I have to begin by telling you that the Wednesday before you all and I, before we had class together, I traveled to Colorado Springs to get there a day before, and got there and started getting messages from Christina saying, Brad, the chapel didn't end today. And of course, we have a freshman there on campus. She said they're still going, and that just kind of went on through the day and into the evening. I was getting these reports that they're still going. It's late at night. Thursday, I wake up in my hotel room, and the wind outside the hotel there in Colorado Springs was just howling. And I checked, and they were experiencing 35 and 40 mile an hour wind gusts. And I checked the weather back home, and they were having 65 mile an hour wind gusts. And Christina said it was just absolutely howling, almost enough to start doing serious damage, but it blew our grill over. But, as I'm sitting in my hotel room, just doing a series of Zoom calls and emails, prepping for our Thursday night class, that wind was just howling. And I just kept getting these updates. Those students have been going around the clock. And what happened is Zach Mearcreeves preached an entirely unremarkable sermon in that normally scheduled 10 o'clock Wednesday hour. And when he finished and chapel let out, 19 students remained. And they felt like they couldn't leave. And they began texting their friends, after their 11 o'clock classes and during lunch saying, you need to come back. There's something going on. And folks began to just assemble there. And I guess that's where it began. And so then I start seeing posts on Facebook and in social media just saying something's happening here. And I have to tell you that there have been certain areas in my own life where I've just struggled developing spiritually the way I would like to. And this is just, confession time, I guess, but prayer is one of those. I cannot sit still to pray. I cannot stay focused without being down a rabbit trail. And prayer is a labor. And I think I shared with you all in class, I've set a goal every morning of spending 10 minutes in prayer, which is ridiculous, I mean, heaven's sake, I've been a Christian nearly my whole life, and I can only squeeze out 10 minutes. For me, that's work. But I tell you what, I found myself that night in my hotel room on my knees over my bed in prayer. And I've been praying ever since. I set my timer, but the timer's not long enough. I've been praying like a fool. And have had focus and clarity. And I've been praying for focus and clarity. I can go see a doctor, but I just think, Lord, I don't want to go see a doctor for this one. If we can avoid that this time, just hit me. And he has. And so I've been going to campus every morning at 7 a.m., intentionally leaving the house to go pray. And there are times when the buildings are locked. And yesterday morning, I just sat out in the cold in the corner for 10 or 12 minutes and prayed and had an answer to prayer that I was needing in that moment. A huge answer to prayer that I needed in that moment. So that's been a big shift for me. I now have an appetite for prayer, and I thank God for that. And while I was with you all, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I undertook to fast through lunch on Friday. No, it wasn't that. It was the week after. It was the week after I got home. That's right. I resolved to fast through lunch. And I got through lunch and I thought, you know what? I wonder if there's any chance I could make it till tomorrow morning and do 24 hours. I've never done that in my life. Skipping lunch has been painful every time I've tried it. And I did it. I did a 24-hour stinking fast. Being mindful of the presence of God in my life, being grateful for food that I was without, and using those hunger pains to remind me that I shall not live by bread alone. And I can tame my flesh, right? With the power of the Spirit. I'm in charge here. So I did my first 24-hour fast. That was a week ago Friday. I did my second 24-hour fast yesterday. I am rocking it, folks. And it has brought me to a new level of awareness of God's presence in my life. Fasting. I'm going to shoot for 48 hours here pretty soon because I'm enjoying this. I've had a profound sense of peace that descended on me even before we gathered Thursday night. I've never been more at peace in my teaching than I was with you all. I've not been more aware of others as I have been in the last 2 weeks. I was on the phone with a travel agent a couple of days ago, and she was really working hard to fix a problem for me. And I mean, this went on like 2 30-minute calls, and she was so apologetic about the time. And I said, you've got me on hold. I'm just sitting here working. I'm good. This is no problem at all. I just appreciate you helping me. And she said, I can't tell you how grateful I am for your patience. And I said, let me tell you what, there has been patience poured out from heaven on the little town where I live, and you need to look it up. Google Wilmore Outpouring. She said, spell that for me. And she wrote it down, and I told her what it was. She said, I can't tell you how blessed I am by you sharing that with me. I've been noticing that I've been spending my time differently. I'm just going to tell you that I like to watch videos like YouTube shorts and YouTube videos and all that, and there's nothing inappropriate in what I watch. I'm just going to tell you that straight up. Things that you would think would silly. I like watching tool restoration videos. I like watching a certain baseball hitting coach. I just watch stuff, you think would be, but it's just mindless, and that mindless pursuit of videos, I realize now, has become a habit. And that's time I've just been wasting aimlessly, pointlessly. I haven't watched a mindless video in 2 weeks. And what's more is I really don't even miss it. I find that in the evenings, instead of sitting down with a bowl of popcorn in front of the TV, watching a documentary, then eating a plate of nachos, then eating another snack, then another snack, till I go to bed. I've just been finding ways to be more fruitful with my time. Last night it was just reading a book about Japanese martyrs, and other times it's just sitting down with scripture, right? Many times it's been watching the live stream of the Outpouring, or just being on campus helping. That time has been redeemed. And I'll say this, a song, actually the line from a song that's been going through my mind of late is this one: and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of his goodness and grace. And that's exactly what has happened to me. These attachments have lost their attractiveness, and I feel free from that. I have also found a new freedom in worship. I found myself on my knees with our senior pastor Sunday as worship was wrapping up, confessing to him that I came to that church begrudgingly because I didn't want to leave my former church, but our lives just wouldn't allow me to stay there with my travel schedule and workload. I said to my pastor, I said, Paul, and we're on our knees at the altar. I said, you got to forgive me. I came in here resentful, and that resentment became cynicism, and the cynicism became criticism, and that became judgment. I need you to forgive me. And that Sunday morning was the first time since I've been worshiping there that I have been free to worship, and it was glorious. In fact, I hear these songs, these simple songs we've been singing at the Outpouring, same songs we sing, in church. These songs have been in my mind and in my heart ever since, like an endless loop. And I'll say this kind of in closing here, I'm telling you more than you signed up for. But in my house, we are having conversations at levels we have never had before. And I've seen the impact on on my family in tangible ways, and in a couple of cases in miraculous ways. So we've been hit, and we've been hit hard in all of the best possible ways. We're better people. We're better people for the kingdom. We're better citizens for this world. And the last 2 weeks have been as if the fruit of the Spirit has simply rained from heaven on our part of the world and parts elsewhere. So I'm different. Somebody described it as having your like a DNA transplant. It may be, kind of a radical statement, but there's been a shift, a big one. And so I'm telling you to encourage you, because God really, really is good. And so I think that's the Outpouring's take on me.